Last year, I'm going to repeat it again. I'm repeated so much time that for those of you who listen to the country, last year, we went to this craft, them call it Market on the Land. Yeah, Market on the Land. And at this Market on the Land, they had this a white woman, well, them always a work with some Jamaican, who believe in them still. Well, this white woman did hand out some papers. Well, me's a curious man. Me read everything. I already not concerned when me I deal with, especially when it's not concerned when me I deal with. Me love to read it. Well, when me take the paper, me see it mark May the 21st, the rapture, and then I don't remember the date, but it's October, going to be Judgment Day. So for those of you who don't know what the rapture is now, the rapture is when the Christians say, when Jesus come back, all the people who believe in him and love him and live good is going to be taken up into heaven and left people like me down here suffer burn in a fire for 1,000 years. So these people have these pamphlet distributing. I think the woman come from Los Angeles too, where them say that May the 21st, 2011, which is next month, 1 month from now, Jesus Christ will come and take his beloved people. And then May, June, July, August, September, October, 5 months after, going to be the Judgment Day. Now, we see that come up more and more again. So we want to read this. We want to read this thing here. And tonight we have a tight program, Yes, we have some things for deal with here, so we long time cutting edge. And it's not a repeat tape either. It's a brand new documentary. But a brand new, well, it's not a brand new, it's brand new to where we are going to play it now, because we mentioned it before last year, but now we're going to give you a documentary about it. And we want the people to be patient, because this documentary is very scientific in terms of using language that, especially in the night, it kind of, but we don't have no more time. It's night we have, so we have to just make use of the night, you understand? So we're going to carry you into a documentary where we are dealing with a certain thing. We're not tell you what I deal with yet, because we are talking about this rapture thing here. And this 2011. Now, I cannot imagine these people who are say the rapture going to be May the 21st. You have some big, where my head go so fast that I keep remember the things that we was say. You have some big billboard around Kingston where I say the world are going to end May the 23rd. I somewhere about this. So. Yeah, somewhere about this. So. But these people giving out this pamphlet, I'm going to read an article where them have a circulate. And this article say, May the 21st, 2011 rapture, H.A.A.R.P camping, end of world warning. No, I cannot imagine this man or these people thinking that they are like the reincarnated Noah and his family. And the story that the Bible tell you, say, when Noah, God said, I'm going to destroy the earth. And Noah walk around and gather up some log and I build this massive boat. And them start to laugh after him. Say, no water, no there if you run that boat. They all come in and build this boat and thing. But him didn't know why I build it still. So I cannot imagine these people, I imagine themselves in a Noah's shoes. Because them are one of the people, them say, the rapture are going to come the 21st. And people are make fun at it. Many biblical scholars have slated 2012 for the end of the world. Now, considering that many biblical scholars did say that the world was going to end the year 2000. Remember that. From my picnic, I hear that. And in the year 2000, we did deal with it too. We did talk about it. See that I think Anthony B did give me one tune there where where it's so sweet that I will keep playing it. But many biblical scholars have slated 2012 for the end of the world. Now, we talk about the Mayan calendar on this program here, where the Mayan calendar don't go beyond 2012, and them says a more accurate calendar than this calendar we go around in a circle with its unusual 365 days, sometimes 366, plus 28 days in a month, 31 days in a month, 30 days in a month, and it just go on and on. But them say the Mayan calendar is a more accurate calendar. Anyway, these biblical scholars slate the world for end 2012. Not H.A.A.R.P Camping, the former civil engineer who now runs Family Radio, has set the date for May the 21st, 2011. The 88-year-old has studied the Bible for nearly 70 years. How long he must study the Bible? From him, 18-year-old, he must study the Bible. For 70 years, he must study the Bible, and him declare that May the 21st, 2011, that's it. Camping used his skills as an engineer to make his predictions. He has created a mathematical system to analyze hidden prophecies in the Bible. After a complex series of calculations, he came up with the date of the rapture. On Camping's program on Family Radio, listeners call in to ask about different passages from the Bible. His program, entitled Open Forum, is translated into 48 different languages. He remarked that it even is transmitted to China, where it has not been jammed once. Employees at Family Radio have been wearing T-shirts with, quote, May the 21st, 2011, unquote. On the front, they actually embrace the day that most consider the end. They believe their souls will be retrieved by Jesus. Notable, this is not Camping's first prediction for the end. Camping originally predicted the date for September the 6th, 1994. Dozens of his followers met inside Alemanda's Veterans Memorial Building. To their dismay, Jesus didn't show up, and Camping admitted that he may have made an error in his calculations. Camping did say it already and it never happened. And him saying it now, May the 21st. If it not happened, them should crucify him. But I remember distinctly. There was a person on Mountain View Avenue who have a church where they tell the people them say a flood going come and wash with Jamaica and left him church. And people left them job and go sit down in the church and wait upon this disaster for happen that it will save them. And them sit down and them sit down and them sit down. And nothing happened. These people is some serious deluded set of people. Because when them are say, them actually believe the thing. Them believe what them are say. It's not like them not believe it, you know. Them believe it. So, on May the 21st, as a matter of fact, today is what, the 29th? Today are the 29th. So, today are the 27th of April. So, we have 21, 22, 23, 24, about 25 days left for the rapture take place. All the wicked people, them, who can't save again, just go on wicked. All the righteous people, them, on the righteous already, don't get wicked. The 21st is on the deadline. GPS going to cut off on the light. Sir, you see, now, be so like the people that were in that back now, I don't understand. Me can't save. Don't follow me. The 21st is the rapture. GPS, why are you going to raise light bill when the 21st there will be no light and the light going cut off? All those people who is building up building and saving money for them future. There will be no future. The 21st of May is the rapture. And the article that I read did not only say the 21st of May is the rapture, it says that October the 11th is the end judgment day, where all the wicked them going to burn up in the 1,000 years in the bottomless pit that the compassionate God have there waiting for them. For how much years now? You know how much wood am I pushing out of fire there? And it can't out. So, Mr. Camping and Family Radio, serious thing. You bring down upon the world, you know. Make all your people them start to fret. May the 21st, 2011. Rapture. Serious thing. Serious thing. The year 2000 was supposed to be the end of the world. Again. Because the Jehovah's Witness them did come with all different talk. One time them says when World War hey, some disasters are going on at earth, you know, a man a talk about say, hey, them should sometimes when you sign contract, you know, them have a thing in there say, act of God. I am sorry to tell you now that these things that is taking place disturbance in the atmosphere with its chemical germs and its chemical warfare, and then him blame all these things on God. God do have nothing to do with it. A whole heap of these things where I hear about now is man a counteract nature and a cause nature for just vomit and belch. You see in America the other day how much people lose them house with this twister. It's a terrible thing I go on. I did a raise with a sister the other day and she asked me if when me did a youth music hear about tsunami. And come to think of it, me never used to hear about tsunami at all. I just said that day me I heard something named tsunami. As a matter of fact, the first time me hear about tsunami is the year when the whole of Indonesia and part of Africa and all over the area there, the tsunami killed so much 100,000 people in a one place and how much place. Me never hear about tsunami before that. Because I couldn't even pronounce the word because it started TS. Wait, how you pronounce that word there? Tsunami was not part of my vocabulary or part of my thinking when me was a youth. Me going to hear about flood. No me hear about tsunami where you have water a rush from the sea at 500 miles per hour. That is as fast as a aeroplane a travel. 500 miles per hour, the water a travel inland. And the weirdest thing, you know, like, what are the news report them years ago about the tsunami, you know, is that the people them up on the beach. And some you know say Jamaican people different, you know. Well, Jamaican people are really different because Jamaican people wear gunshot and fire down the road and run go towards the gunshot. Instead of them run away from the gunshot, them run go down there because say who get shot. Well, these people stand up on the beach and them see the beach are recede out. The water, the beach I get bigger and the water go backward, I recede. And them stand up, then I look for this thing happen. And I go towards the sea for try to figure out what the hell is happening here. The water recede. Only if you see the water coming forward upon them, and them is in the water, or in the dry land we're supposed to be sea. And it did cover them. No, I am thinking in my mind that this man when named Moses, I am thinking in my mind that this man named Moses is a meteorologist, what do they call it? Meteorologist. About the weather. I am thinking that this man is knowing about tsunamis. And he is telling the children of Israel, say, look here, an earthquake, I go shake, and a tsunami, I go come in. See, you have to reach across the water there before the tsunami. So same like the people them on the beach edge now, I look on this thing and them see the water recede. The children of Israel standing up and seeing that the water recede, make haste and go across quick. And when Pharaoh and his army came and see that the water receding, thought that they could go across it too. And the water came and washed them away. I can only say that because the other way it don't make no sense to me. I am just putting my spin on that story to make it make sense to me. Because I don't want to say it's a stupid story. But tsunamis is something we are up now. We see the last one here, we leak Japan here. Very serious way. I see a man at the newspaper, I recommend we must turn to nuclear power. After America rethink nuclear power now and Japan rethink nuclear power. This man tell you about nuclear power. Before him tell you about coal and wind and sun power. We can't afford to do these things, Rasta, because right now America afraid. Why America afraid is because them have so much nuclear base, especially in Seattle. We know which part of them there, you know. Yeah. Especially in Seattle. So much nuclear powered plant and thing there. That they are thinking in themselves that if an earthquake of the magnitude that lick Japan, lick America, which America is susceptible to earthquake, especially in the California area. If an earthquake lick that, at the magnitude that will lick Japan, the chances of a leakage of these nuclear power plants could be catastrophic. Not only to America, but all the surrounding countries that is very close to America, like Mexico, like Bahamas, like Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti. And then who can forget the 300,000 people who died last year in Haiti with that devastating earthquake? Now, people might say it is a conspiracy theory. And it might be. But there's a lot of people that don't believe that that earthquake was an act of God. A lot of people believe that that earthquake was an act of man. Now, recently, an earthquake shook Japan. And after the earthquake, a tsunami. And many aftershocks take place. And now we see the fallout of nuclear leakage, pollution of the water, fish are dead, them I tell you don't drink no water there and all this thing. Now, a lot of Japanese people is coming to the conclusion that that earthquake and tsunami is not an act of God. So, how did people come up with this thinking when we know over the years that whenever an earthquake shake the world or the earth or anywhere is an act of God? As a matter of fact, them used to tell you, say, a God a belch. Yeah, it's like when you hear a ton of them say, God a move him rocking chair, man. And when you see rain a fall in a sunlight, you say, boy, God and them wife a fight. People say these things. But how did people come up with these ideas that things that is happening now, that is supposed to be act of God, is an unusual event? Or is it that things like earthquake now is not a thing that happened because of nature, but is because of man doing? Where did all these thinking, these theories come from? Well, tonight, we want to play a documentary that explore one of the possible reason why these things is happening so prevalently. Because if you're religious, you guys say, see the man, gotta come for him hurt. And the weirdest thing about it, these fundamentalist Christians who have power at their fingertips, who predicts an Armageddon in the Revelation, might just bring about that Armageddon to prove to them. In other words, they will cut off their foot to fit their shoes. They will peer down their feet to fit their shoes. They will do things to make us believe that it is what they say in Revelation that is coming to pass, and it's not what them bringing about. Because these men, and I am going to say these white men who manipulate and control our lives, is doing things that we are so ignorant of, that we feel we are in a blissful world, because they tell us that ignorance is bliss, and what you know, what you don't know won't hurt you. When we know says what you don't know hurting us. So we want you to remember this name, and we mention it, and we play something about it last year. Capital H, capital A, capital A, capital R, and capital P. The word is H.A.A.R.P. And it's not a word, but it's H full stop, A full stop, A full stop, R full stop, P full stop. H.A.A.R.P. And we're going to play a documentary on H.A.A.R.P. And as I said before, it is a very slow documentary. It's not really something that you can grasp in the first hearing, because there's certain words that is used that we are not familiar with, scientific words that is used, and if you're not into those scientific thing, you might get bored. You might all want to buck down the place because it's not night, it's not day. But as we say, we do have no other time to present it. And years ago, we present all of these little things on the cutting edge. And obviously, people wasn't sleeping. So we are hoping that when we play these things, even though it's a different time we're living in, and the stress of GPS and the stress of the government. I say GPS come like gunman in a Rasta. I try to figure out who I'm afraid of. Every time I see a man like a big gator, I don't do it. I see me like a book in him other. So I say, wait a GPS that. It's like I want to call police in a Rasta because GPS man them come like gunman nowadays, you know. Yeah man, anytime GPS man come here get a and you say, hold on, them say, GPS, you know, say, it's like, yes, see, then our blood pressure gone up. Because you try to figure out how them come for your yard, where them come for your yard for now. But, and sometimes you know, own a light bill, you know. But through you hear them knock, you start to wonder if you own light bill. You know, say you don't own a light bill. Sometimes them just come to check me either. But the way it go now, them come to lock off your light. All on Friday, the man them come to lock off your light, you know. And them know so them now open Saturday, them know so them now open Sunday, you know. And them come all Friday. And the government tell them, say, don't come on a Friday, come lock out nobody light, you know. And them insist for all lock out people light on a Friday, where them know say you can't turn it on back until Monday. And then all of the things them in your fridge are going to spoil. And if you keep a little party in your yard, you can't keep it. That company there, man, it's some dangerous company, that Jamaica Public Service. Dangerous company. I know them a look for come raise your light bill again. And the weirdest thing, you know, when them trip out light because of for them negligence and something happened to your things, you know, there's no compensation for you. When all your chicken spoil and your big beef spoil and all of your things in your fridge spoil and your freezer, you can't go have no lawsuit against them. It's terrible, you know. It's a one-way thing. And you owe them all $1,000, you know. Me hear people are ball on the radio, you know, so them owe $1,000. And JPS come lock off them light, you know. And what kind of country we are living in, Rasta? You owe $1,000 to a big company like JPS. We are making billion, not million, billions of dollars. Them are make. And JPS, you come. Watch a man. Your bill come up to like $5,000, and you say, boy, I have $4,000 you have, and you go down and go pay the $4,000, and you balance $1,000, and then come you hear. And when you hear them say, you owe $1,000, them come to lock off your light on a Friday evening. I tell you, Rasta, who will protect the customer? Who will protect Jamaican people from these vampires? Because some vampire, you know, when I talk about the worker them now, you know. Because we don't want one out there who are work for JPS. If you say them we are talking, you know. When I talk about the worker, you know, because the worker good all whole light bill too, you know, because the government, you hear how much light bill the government owe? You not see in the paper how much light bill the government owe, all of the different companies. A bill, must about $2 billion with a light bill the government owe, you know. So how come they not lock off the government light? And then no matter about stress and suicide, Rasta. This country are full of peer stress. You could have eat good little more. The way the country set up here so now, there's no way you can go through Jamaica and have high blood pressure. No way. Because it's either going to carry up your blood pressure or it will carry you down. It's either your blood pressure will go too high or your blood pressure will go too low. Because the two things are the same thing. Whether it's too high or too low are the same thing. It will cause some malfunction in your system. So, them a report now say the suicide rate amongst young people too high. How come young people are think about suicide so in Jamaica? But now we see a problem now will arise where the focus now is on the police. The police, based upon what it go on with the man we kill him family and then kill himself. The statistics I tell you now say suicide, the main cause of suicide in Jamaica is relationships. That is when we read. Them say the main cause. What, mama? A big thing where you give me answer now. Watch out, Chow. I think you come give me. All right, do it. Chow, me think of some protein to me attack what you give me, you know. All right. A distraction, this, you know. Anyway, them say one of the main cause, at least at the top of suicide tendencies and the reason for suicide in Jamaica is relationship, man and woman relationship, that cause the most suicide in Jamaica. That means when you look on the suicide thing, the love business now work out certain way it's supposed to work out. Then you have other things. Stress, the daily living conditions, can't cope with situations. And when people can't cope with certain situations, them just decide, say, boy, I saw, we can just go in the next world. Well, a problem with the next world and suicide, you know. Most Christians believe, say, if you commit suicide, you know, have no part or lot in heaven. If me did believe that way, the more that did accept that that's true. Because suicide come to me like murder still. And a man should be charged for murder. So if you don't charge for murder here, you must charge for murder there, which is in heaven or whatsoever you find yourself. But then no hell you go. So if you commit suicide, you must go hell. So you can't, you never get no judgment again. After that, there's no judgment. But the Christian, them have a way to tell you, say, well, if you commit suicide, you can't ask repentance again. Your soul gone. Me kind of agree with it on a level, because suicide is murder. It's just that you murder yourself instead of you murder somebody else. Because if you do the same thing to somebody else, you're not charged for murder. But them call it a pretty name, suicide, to distinguish it from you killing somebody else rather than you killing yourself. But them I say the police, them now, under stress. Because we see it happen this week again. Some don't know if a whole heap of the killings were going with the police, because them say police killings in Jamaica is one of the highest in the world. Police killings in Jamaica is one of the highest in the world. Just like how them say the murder rate in Jamaica is one of the highest in the world. The police killings is one of the highest. So I wonder now if it's stress, why the police them so trigger happy. We need to understand the whole psychology of that. Is it fear of the gunman, or is it a stress of the job why the police are trigger happy? Because me used to think, me hear people say, minority of police bad. Me kind of don't want to believe that again. Me feel say the majority of the police them. Me no feel say it's a like a minority in the police world. Because too much of that go on, you know, if a man tells well, you know, it's just a minority, you know. It come like to me, most police right now under stress. Bigger stress too. Because why is we have GPS as stress and gunman as stress. The police have GPS, the gunman, and him wife at the yard. Because the relationship with them I talk about now is the highest in relationships. So the policeman now, him can't pay GPS. Him thinks if him light, I go lock off. So guess what him have to do now? Him have to go get the money somewhere or another, you know. So I'm going to stop you up on the road. And I'm going to ease off something now for you, for pay him light bill. And him now get the government. And me not think say, the minority of police stay that way there. Me come to the conclusion and say the majority of police really have some little corruption streak in them. And this is caused maybe by the stress of the job. That's why police ease have money and fire so quick. Because the pay where them I get is not sufficient for the dangerous work where them I do. Jamaican police have some serious, dangerous work, you know. When you are confronted by some 16-year-old with M16 rifle, where these 16-year-olds don't understand the value of life and what it is to see life as divine. when you are confronted with such elements on the road or in the street, it is very difficult for you to turn in that youth alive. So it must play upon the conscience of some of these police who go to church all the while, who's getting counsel from church. And I am thinking that the counselor should not be affiliated to any religious body, because in the first place, them did have that Christian streak in them in the first place. And them have a struggle with them Christian belief and shooting somebody. All of them little psychological imbalances start to make the thing get stressful. So now we see the police, them is in the focus here now. So we don't know where we are going to do here now. Because a policeman can't easily kill you now until you say, I stress him stress. But I stress the job, stress me out. And him just go get a psychological evaluation and just go back on the work. Meanwhile, the politician, him needs psychological evaluation. Yes, me think that most politicians need a psychological evaluation, because you can't tell me, say, all the minister you know, hardly H.A.A.R.P, the minister of finance, now take enough tablet for present for your budget. You can't tell me that everybody must have a little chessboard full of tablet for all different things. If you go really present to Jamaican people that devastation for Jamaican people. So, it's a serious thing. This stress thing is a problem. The next stress thing is what is taking place in certain schools in Jamaica. Because we hear of a trend that is developing in schools that we don't hear nobody addressing. And until it's a true company night program here, it sleep with certain people. But we are told that children who's going to school now is going to school drunk, selling alcohol in school under the guise of boom. It's a serious, serious thing going on. When teachers can be complaining that student is drunk in class, you know, say something, the thing get away. That's supposed to stress all the teacher. Somebody need to examine this trend. Somebody need to examine this trend that has developed and is developing in schools, where students are carrying alcohol to school and selling it in school. Can you imagine? That is where Jamaica reach now. I hope some of them gleaner man will have the newspaper people them will listen to this program here. Because some of them listen to this program here and then 1 week after them write about something when we say, because them go investigate it. I would hope that some of them is listening now, that maybe 1 week after I can see it in the paper. The investigation of students in schools with alcohol. Because you cannot, all of these machines, it's a weird thing, you know, because you have a metal detector. The other day you ever go to school, go talk, and it's a metal detector. Them have the front gate detect metal. So them look for metal, knife, gun, and all these things. But guess what? Metal detector now pick up alcohol beverage in a bottle. And that is a serious, serious thing, you know. That students is Jamaican young people reach a stage now where them carrying alcohol to school and selling it in the school. then that no more stress the teacher them, Rasta. Because if you are teach some students and the student drunk, so, it's what I go in Jamaica, Rasta. It's what I go in Jamaica. Me I got school. The only time we know, never ever drink alcohol when I go to school, but the only time we know what alcohol when we go at some party and club. The first time me taste rum punch in my life, me never touch that again. I say never in the history of my life would I ever touch that. My mother am married. And me go get some rum punch. Before the reception start, me decide I'm going to drink some rum punch. And trust me, when I must about a couple weeks after me know she married, because me don't know nothing about the reception, me vomit, after that thing happen. And from them time there, in my teenager life, me swear said that there's something, nah, catch me again. Can you imagine my mother married and me never even get to enjoy the marriage ceremony, the married reception because me got drunk? No, sir. I'll be tell you, say, a whole heap of them accident the way you see I go on the road with the young people, them, you know. At this Roman Red Bull where you hear being the man I sing about on the radio and all them thing there, you know. Man just take that for joke now. A Red Bull mix up with rum. After the people them tell you, say, all the people them will make it, you know, say, don't mix the Red Bull with the rum. How come you not go like you know here? The people them who make Red Bull say, if you're drinking Red Bull, drink Red Bull by itself. Don't mix Red Bull with rum. Because that different effect that totally. Now, it has been shown that the majority of young people, their choice of drug is not ganja, is not coke, is alcohol. The main cause of road accident amongst teenagers, young people, is drunk drive under the influence of alcohol. That is not me saying that. That is studies shown. Studies show that the main cause of road accidents among young people is alcohol. Not ganja, not cocaine, but the legal drug that them call alcohol is the main cause of road accident amongst young people. And now we are told that this young people is carrying alcohol to school. What the hell is taking place? Is we are going in Jamaica, Rasta? What is going on? How is this? How young people start to get influence in them? I mean, me never want to pinpoint no specific thing, you know. But it come back right round to the culture of the day, you know. The culture of the day is deciding and defining the behavior and attitudes of young people. Just like how them don't advertise cigarette on the radio, they must not advertise alcohol. There should be a law against advertising drugs. And if ganja can't advertise on radio, why the hell them should advertise alcohol on radio? Them don't even want you play a tune with ganja in night. The Broadcasting Commission don't want you to play a tune where promote the use of ganja. Yet still, studies have shown that the main cause of death amongst drug users, young people, is not ganja and it's not cocaine, is alcohol. And alcohol is legal. And a guy actually say, drink responsibly. It's foolishness. It's foolishness. Are you to their party in the hype? I listen to Vibes Cartel, I listen to Beanie Man, and I listen to Bounty Killer and all these people. Which responsibly I tell him about? Which responsibly I tell him about? Him in the hype. Give me the rum, give me the Red Bull, give me the this, give me the that. It's we are going in Jamaica. So how the Ministry of Education are going to deal with this thing, you know? Because his teacher tell me these things, you know? His teacher tell me this thing is not me, I make up this thing. Sometimes it sound like Muta get them thing there from pan radio, but it's true. His teacher tell me this thing. Say, children come into school with alcohol, junk. I tell you, alcohol is legal. Alcohol is legal. Can you imagine that? Alcohol is legal. And you're not supposed to sell alcohol to age group below, I think below 18. But who can stop that? Who can stop that? It's up on roadside and you get that for buy. What I mean? You have all youth who drink 3 beer and drunk. Much less. 3 beer and then drunk. And them have some drink you know about the place where we just blow you up. So all them stress and all them thing there, a whole heap of it, you know. And on the GPS, you know, but this is what we consume in our body that cause the irritation of our psychological makeup. Is what we consume in our structure that decide our mentality. And when we say consume, we are talking about food, we are talking about word sound that hit us, and we are talking about what we see. Because what you see is also consumption. You consume what you see. Because what you see have to go to your brains inside of your head for you evaluate and reconcile with what you see. So what you see is also consuming something. What you put in your mouth is consuming something. And what you hear is also consuming something. Your senses allows your body to consume. And when your body consume, it triggers something in your mind or in your brains that triggers something in your mind that make you either react or act. So it's either you're going to react to something or you're going to act on something. So that is what consuming is all about. And we are all consumers in one way or another. Our community and the world at large. So, stress, food, whether it is physical food, like fast food, or musical food, like this derogative music that we are hearing about the place, or just listening to nothing of substance. So we just want the people them know say we in a society right now where is causing a lot of sickness, whether consciously or unconsciously. We hear that Vibes Cartel is saying that he will not make any more music, gun lyrics music. He says, well, that's what the news says, that Vibes Cartel says he will not make any more gun music. That is a step. We love to hear a youth come up and say, nah, do that. You understand? Because we know say him capable to make other songs, but then You have some songs where Vibes Cartel sing. When me listen to them, it now have nothing to do with gun in there. Nothing to do with gun. But guess what? Me no want nobody hear it. So, it's not just God lyrics, you know. It's not just God lyrics in the family, but at least if I make according to Vibes Cartel, him calculate thing before him do it. Him calculate it. That's how him say that. Him calculate the thing before him do it. So I guess if I calculate, say, well, I guess what I say. I guess what I say. I do it. I'd be presumptuous. I would be very presumptuous to know, calculate in my mind what he's calculating in his mind. Okay, this is the Cutting Edge and I reference. As we tell you before, we want you to be quite clear with this documentary here. This documentary is about well, it's not an organization, but it's something set up by America in a place in Alaska. And it's very, very scientific and technical. And we're going to make it speak for itself. As we say, it's a slow documentary, so you have to really listen keenly. As we know, say some of the words used and some of the things used would not be familiar to the normal ear, but the gist of the story, the gist of it, is very important that you hear what it says. The gist of the whole documentary is very revealing. Very, very revealing. So, Cutting Edge present H.A.A.R.P, an advance in Tesla technology.
The Earth is more unstable now. It wobbles more than it used to. The atmosphere is speeding up and the Earth is slowing down. The Earth's core is getting hotter. The magnetic north is changing. The sun is more active and older than we once thought. Everything is more unpredictable, and humans seem always willing to push things to the limit. The late Carl Sagan said, "We've arranged a global civilization in which most crucial elements profoundly depend on science and technology. We've also arranged things so that almost no one understands science or technology. We might get away with it for a while, but sooner or later, this combustible mixture of ignorance and power is going to blow up in our faces." Imagine the Earth's atmosphere, also known as the ionosphere, as a thick soap bubble. It is a membrane, a natural electrically charged shield around the Earth, protecting all life from deadly solar radiation.
We have to have the atmosphere for survival. I don't think we should do anything to damage it.
Without the ionosphere, I'd be fried, you'd be fried. All life on Earth would be fried.
In 1912, Nikola Tesla, a visionary genius, saw ways to tame the sky, to make the atmosphere glow. He developed alternating current, high-frequency radio technology, and free energy. He experimented with both high and low frequencies and electromagnetic waves. He envisioned altering the weather and creating shields around the Earth to protect us from missiles, and he claimed he knew how to split the Earth in two. In 1985, Bernard Eastland applied for patents that could make some of these ideas real. Many claim that these patents have become the blueprint for H.A.A.R.P, High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program.
ARCO originally approached me in 1984 to find a use for the natural gas on the North Slope of Alaska, which they could not sell. To give you a feel for how much gas they asked me to find an application for, it was enough gas to produce all the electricity in the United States for a full year. I originated some ideas for military applications and beneficial civilian applications in which that gas would be converted into electricity and then used to power some gigantic antennas.
What does H.A.A.R.P do? H.A.A.R.P is a large antenna where we beam radio frequency energy up into the upper atmosphere, and we create on a small scale what the sun normally does. And the reason we're trying to do this is because when you have disturbances in the ionosphere, we can't communicate with our satellites.
HAARP began with a congressional insertion in the appropriations bill of fiscal year 1990. In essence, Congress directed the Defense Department to explore the potential for using the auroral regions for improving communications and navigation and surveillance. From there, the assignment came that the Navy and the Air Force were to manage the program. It is people from those two organizations that have worked together for the past 7 years.
Applications discussed in the patents included destroying missiles. Communications control and disruption were included. There were some other ideas, both to possibly modify weather and finally to lift a portion of the upper atmosphere further out into space where hopefully it would be able to deflect missile trajectories.
What we do by beaming up radio frequency up into the ionosphere, that radio frequency, when it hits molecules of atmosphere, it tends to make the subatomic particles inside move faster, and that increases their temperature. So you can bring their temperature up to 1,600 degrees or so, which is normally what the sun does to those particles at that atmosphere.
The ionosphere of the Earth has got enormous amount of energy. There are 8,000 thunderstorms going on all over the Earth at any given moment. There are millions of amperes of electricity pouring to the Earth from lightning strikes. And HAARP could create a trigger effect.
In 1983, I did radio tomography with 30 watts, looking for oil in the ground. I found 26 oil wells over a 9-state area, and 100% of the time was accurate with just 30 watts of power beaming straight into solid rock. HAARP uses 1 billion watts beamed straight into the ionosphere for experiments. Picture these strings on the piano as layers of the Earth. Each one has its own frequency. What we used to do is beam radio waves into the ground, and it would vibrate any strings that were present in the ground. We might get a sound back like, and we'd say, that's natural gas. We might get a sound back like, and we'd say, that's crude oil. We were able to identify each frequency. We accomplished this with just 30 watts of radio power. If you do this with 2 billion watts, the vibrations are so violent that the entire piano would shake. In fact, the whole house would shake. In fact, the vibrations could be so severe underground that could even cause an earthquake.
While we feel that HAARP is a unique facility, it's not the only one like it in the world. HAARP has some capabilities that we feel are better than some of the others. You can change the frequencies. You can shift the beam so that you can move it from one part of the ionosphere to another, and it has quite a bit more power than some of the other facilities throughout the world that are doing the same kinds of research.
I chose what's called a phased array antenna for the patents because it can be aimed. Picture holding your microwave oven in your hands with the door open. Then you can move it around and send those microwaves different directions. And for these applications where I wanted precise control of where the power was, I felt that was the best type of antenna to use. And that is the kind that HAARP has built.
What we can do with an antenna is change the portion of the sky into which we insert the energy.
HAARP can create some of the effects that the sun creates that are similar to the aurora borealis.
HAARP can paint designs in the sky, if you will. You know, it can take the beam and move it in any pattern that the scientist who's doing an experiment might want to do.
What I'm holding in my hands is an electrodeless lamp. In it, I have a low atmosphere gas, somewhat similar to the atmosphere above the Earth. I'm now going to put this in the microwave oven, which will irradiate it with about 1 watt per square centimeter.
You know, you put 1 watt out and you've got the fields necessary to break down the air or whatever happens.
And you see all of the motion of the plasma. That's typical of what will happen at high altitude, where the ionosphere gets irradiated with these big beams.
That was 1 watt per centimeter. HAARP focuses 3.6 million watts and squeezes it into a billion-watt or gigawatt beam.
We're squeezing the megawatts into a narrow beam. Then in a very tiny area, you can create what's it called, an effective gigawatt.
Is HAARP safe? Yes, HAARP is safe.
The Earth is a web of interconnections. How do we know what we're doing when we blast the upper atmosphere with a huge amount of energy?
It takes a tiny, tiny amount of energy to release a huge amount of energy. It's the same as a bullet. For example, if you have the primer on the back of a bullet, and that primer releases a tiny amount of energy, but it triggers the larger power in the bullet itself. And HAARP is playing with the energy system of the Earth.
In the HAARP program, we have, I believe right now, 18 different colleges and universities that are working the program with us. University scientists are interested because they're studying science, and this is a major effect on the Earth, and so they want to know more about what it is and what it does.
HAARP has no effect on the Earth.
HAARP began in the 1980s, and we were just beginning to learn about chaos theory, how a tiny stimulus can change the dynamics of a living system like the human body or the whole living Earth. I don't think the people who developed HAARP were even aware of that science or its impact in the life sciences. Today, our knowledge is much bigger about how tiny effects can drastically shift the health or well-being of a living thing.
It is possible with a big beam to take a part of that upper atmosphere and push it out for it.
What they're not paying any attention to is what's happening to the ionosphere while it's being held 80 miles out into space by this high-energy beam. It's heating up. And all of the molecules in that ionosphere region are absorbing energy out of that radio beam. And if they pick the right frequency to push that plume out into space, that energy may discharge back out of the ionosphere, back down the radio beam, and strike the Earth. And it would be about 100 times the energy released out of a thunderbolt. And that's how much energy would be released.
In certain applications, the military acknowledges that it can literally lift the ionosphere. And what they say is, it's not a problem, it's a short period of time. Yet, when you lift the ionosphere up, the lower atmosphere rushes in and fills that void, which changes localized weather patterns.
HAARP papers say that they intend to lift up a part of the ionosphere, which creates a hole, and they say that it heals over quickly. But what happens if you create enough holes that it just can't quite take care of it fast enough?
As far as creating a hole, to me, it's the analogy of you put your hand in water, and yeah, you're taking up space, but when you pull it out, it goes back together again. Same way the ionosphere would work.
If the hole means that the neutral density has been somewhat modified, then if you want to call that a hole, maybe that's fine.
The hole would be at least 30 miles long, half a mile deep, 50 to 60 miles above the Earth.
I imagine there are hundreds of satellites that have interactions with the ionosphere. They're all doing their own local modification of the ionosphere. They're all creating their own holes.
Satellites, rockets, space shuttle flights, not just HAARP, but many technologies out there in space are creating holes in heaven.
As to this question of injecting more high-energy particles into the Earth's electrical system, the ionosphere is a dynamic system, ever moving, ever changing. I don't think anyone on this planet really knows the point where enough is enough.
This was the planning document that really brought HAARP into being, and the absolute requirements ran from 1 gigawatt, which is 1 billion watts, all the way up to 10 billion watts of effective radiated power with a desired level of 100 billion watts.
At its biggest size suggested, if you beamed it for an hour and a half, that would equal the energy in a hydrogen bomb.
It's just a person's concept of what might possibly be done. Doesn't necessarily mean the government endorsed it or not.
What's the power when it pulses? And I can't find that in any of the documents that I've looked at. If you have a very small battery, you can put it in a small pen light and turn it on and have for some time a little bit of light. You can take the exactly same battery and put it in your camera, and when you flash that camera, the light will blind you. The nature of radar and these electromagnetic supplies is they can usually be pulsed. So one very good question for people to ask is, what is the peak power of that antenna when it pulses at its full capability?
Pulsing it doesn't matter.
To make it bigger, all they'd have to do is add additional elements. In fact, the request for proposal specified a design that could be added onto.
The first module is what's called a developmental prototype, and that's 48 antennas in a 6x8 array.
What you're looking at is the HAARP site in Alaska, or at least about 1/5 of the HAARP site. When this is completed, you'll see about 180 of these poles. Together, those 180 poles make up one single antenna, designed along with these cross members and a wire mesh here to send all the information, all the radio frequency energy that is generated by these trailers up into the ionosphere.
As they acknowledge in their papers when they say, we don't know what will happen when we push it to the next level of effects.
The military record explains it as phase 1 of a multi-phase project. It's going to get bigger, it's going to continue, and that's again why we're concerned.
There's always a limit to everything, although we don't know exactly where that limit is.
We are surrounded and bombarded by millions of megawatts of natural energy because the sun blows a solar wind which crashes towards the Earth. Since the Earth is a giant magnet, the magnetic field called the magnetosphere protects us. HAARP's original patents were designed to distort or alter the magnetosphere.
It's interesting to compare humans and the Earth. The Earth has a magnetic field. Humans actually generate a magnetic field too, especially in our hearts and brains. Every cell in our body has a powerful magnetic substance called magnetite, which responds sensitively to magnetic fields in our environment. If HAARP is altering the magnetosphere, which is the magnetic field of the Earth and all around it, surely this will have an effect on our health and on our physiology.
HAARP's combined antennae generate a focused billion-watt high-frequency radio beam, which penetrates the lower ionosphere and interacts with the currents of the auroral electrojet. During this modification, this pulsing beam stimulates the ionosphere, creating ELF waves which can move great distances through the lower atmosphere and penetrate into the Earth to find missile silos, underground tunnels, and communicate with hidden submarines.
There's a current flowing through here called the auroral electrojet. You deposit energy in there, you're changing the medium, okay, and you're changing the current, and you're generating ELF and VLF waves.
In simple terms, the electrojet is a river of electricity high above us. And a paper that I've read recently adds to the indications that they intend to cause it to dip down closer to the Earth so it can be tapped for a huge electrical power generating station, which is insanity because they don't know what they're dealing with. They're dealing with the planet's electrical system.
The electrojet affects global weather. Sometimes during a magnetic storm, for instance, it touches the Earth. It can knock out telephone cables and power grids.
What HAARP is capable of doing is to modify the electrojet. By modifying the electrojet, that current in the ionosphere, it has a capability of generating low-frequency waves.
What essentially the system does, it's different, is instead of the radio frequency energy dissipating as it goes up from the antenna array, it's actually focused. And the larger the antenna array, the higher they can focus the energy. And once they get the energy up into the ionosphere, depending on what they want to do, they can create a secondary frequency causing the ionosphere to vibrate, sending that signal back down to the Earth. And what that essentially does is allow them the ability to communicate at very high data rates with submarines, also allows for the possibility of Earth-penetrating tomography, or in the vernacular would be like X-raying the Earth or looking into the Earth several kilometers deep.
I heard one of the scientists point out they can make these ELF waves penetrate the Earth and get an image when that comes back. When I did this in '85, that kind of capability did not exist.
We, in fact, are doing experiments, or plan to do experiments, to see if we can detect tunnels underground.
There is a way of being able to use this type of technology to be able to look for minerals that can be just below the surface of the Earth. Oil, gas, different types of ore.
HAARP can be used to explore oils or gold mine and the like. Basically because the signal, low frequency signal, can penetrate deeper into the earth or the water or the ocean than the high frequency signal.
But this same kind of signals in the same frequency range, can affect human mood. The human brain operates on very low frequencies. For example, when we're thinking, actively, we're generating about 13, 14 cycles per second. When we're meditating, we're generating 8 cycles per second. And when we're asleep, the brain waves are running at about 4 cycles per second. And HAARP is capable of generating all of these frequencies. These kinds of signals can control the human brain. And if you can control these frequencies and multiples of these frequencies and various combinations, you can control all kinds of emotions. You can generate happiness. You could generate sadness. You can generate any mood you want.
We are immersed in ELF waves. And those, as far as I know, maybe they are affecting us, but these waves are minuscule compared to those.
Yes. I hope you listen to it, Very, very serious thing going on, This is the Cutting Edge on RFM. The time is 12 o'clock, midnight. Yes, we're playing a documentary on this scientific movement, or I don't know what you call it, named H.A.A.R.P. Man, them is playing with our lives.
Extremely low frequencies affecting mental states of individuals is not new. It goes back to Yale University and the work of Jose Delgado, which is well recognized in the literature. He started first using implants in the brain. He then used radio frequency with implants, and eventually he found that energy at 1/50th of what the Earth naturally produces could, in fact, in certain frequency ranges, trigger huge mood swings.
I know the physical effect, but not the biological effect. It's a different area.
I was considered a child prodigy in electronics. My entire life has been devoted to the study of the effects of electromagnetic energies on the human mind. When I was 13 years old, I invented a device that transmits sound to the human brain using electromagnetic waves. So this is my field. I've been studying this field for over 40 years. And HAARP scares me because I know what it can do. I know that HAARP can be used to control the human mind.
I'm not sure that the people involved with HAARP are aware that humans are made up of energy, that the energy fields of Earth and humans are closely aligned.
I don't even understand what you mean by energy. Humans are made up of energy. What does that mean?
Humans are like balls of energy. We're made up of electricity and magnetic energy, just like the Earth.
Are humans made up of energy? Well, what do they say? We're 90% water. But the rest of it is an electrochemical, and that's a form of energy, yes.
All living things are exquisitely sensitive to some of the lowest levels of energy. We just couldn't imagine this. And it's been the subject of hot debate. How can life be so sensitive to the tiniest amounts of energy? But because this is how we are bioregulated, by virtue of tiny energy transactions within our body and also coming from the Earth, this is indeed the case. There are many different electromagnetic projects and technologies out there that are affecting our health today.
This document from Maxwell Air Force Base lays out the use of electromagnetic weapons technologies for debilitating human beings.
Using electromagnetic warfare against human beings, you can cause disease, you can cause hysteria, or you can cause passivity for population control.
Extremely low frequencies affect us because they are the same frequencies that our brains output. And when they're in the environment around us, our brains try to entrain to them. So our brains try to mimic those signals. And if those signals are not good ones for our behavior, then we can fall apart. We can behave differently. We could get sick. We could feel very stressed and not know why.
Once in a while, when you have a power outage, most people can identify the fact that they have a release of tension. The minute the electricity goes out, they feel an inner relaxation, a tension release. Magnetic waves. It's just that some people are more sensitive than others.
The symptoms that I discovered in my research caused by electromagnetic frequencies are anxiety, depression, diarrhea, dizziness, extreme fatigue, headaches, lightheadedness, mood swings, nausea, nighttime increase in urination, pulse rate, a sudden increase, shortness of breath, tingling, prickling feeling of the skin, vertigo, nosebleeds, blood pressure increase, and body tremors.
You can also cause cancer. You can disrupt the genetic structure of our cells. You can cause long-term damage in terms of mutagenic damage over generations, or you can cause very short-term damage, and you can actually cause somebody to just have their cells fall apart and hemorrhage to death.
I found from people who were writing me and calling me from all over the country that they were suffering from either one or all of these same symptoms, and every single one of them lived close by to a transmitter.
You know this from HAARP to GWIN to these towers that are all over the United States now.
GWIN stands for Ground Wave Emergency Network. In nuclear attack, the ionosphere would be essentially destroyed by air bursts of nuclear weapons, and there wouldn't be any reflection, and all communication links would go out. It was thought of as an emergency backup communication link in case of nuclear attack.
The weapons technologies are changing so dramatically at this particular time. It'd be like equating introduction of gunpowder to the West or the beginning of the atomic age earlier this century. And that's what's happening with electromagnetic weapons technologies today.
The Air Force Phillips Laboratory is the Air Force's primary laboratory for doing space research, and that involves things like HAARP, studying the ionosphere. Anything the Air Force needs for space, we look into. And that includes weapons for space application, one of which is developing plasma toroids, projectiles made of plasma, essentially the atmosphere of stars, being able to harness that energy and to be able to fire it at a target. We have a device called Shiva. Shiva is a large capacitor bank. Capacitors store electrical energy. And then in a very short time, we release that energy. In about 100 millionths of a second, we will release the same amount of energy as the entire U.S. electrical production for that same instant in time, where the electrons rip from their orbits and you have a soupy gaseous mixture, thousands of degrees hot. Potentially a very serious weapon.
Electromagnetic warfare can also be used in coordination with ionospheric warfare.
After I had actually left the program in 1987, one of the last communications I had with ARCO indicated that there had been a contract awarded for ionospheric warfare studies.
I have not heard of ionospheric warfare. I don't even know what the term means.
In other words, using the ionosphere as an amplifier and as a broadcast medium. What we're actually doing with the ionosphere at that point is we're not just reflecting a signal, we are amplifying the signal. We are causing it to become much, much more intense, hundreds of thousands of times more intense than it would have been otherwise. We're broadcasting that signature over a large area of the Earth.
HAARP says it's not producing a weapon.
HAARP cannot be used as a weapon.
Some of our critics have argued that HAARP is only the beginning and could be a major weapon system. That just isn't true.
What H.A.R.P is basically a ground-based Star Wars weapon technology.
I'm the Attorney General and Environmental Program Manager for the Upper Cook Inlet Environmental Protection Consortium. And we've been working on H.A.R.P for many years. And they've located H.A.R.P at Gakona because of the magnetosphere is closest to the surface of the Earth. And they need that magnetic pole to do their shots into the ionosphere and stratosphere. With H.A.R.P and however long it's been on the drawing board, the people here haven't known about it that long. And it changed from one thing to another. And what a lot of people are not aware of is it's ground-based Star Wars technology. And the United States Congress has said that they quit funding Star Wars. So they call it everything else but Star Wars to get it funded.
I just don't know whether it's an outgrowth of Star Wars.
The application described in the 1991 patent would be such that if anybody were to fire a missile from any direction, anywhere, to another point on Earth, it would intersect this relativistic layer and be basically exploded.
I've never been asked whether this is an outgrowth of Star Wars or not.
As a scientist, you do like to be recognized for things you've done. And because I couldn't write to the press, I'm under ARCO confidentiality, I sent a letter to Lord Cook, the chairman of the board of ARCO, and received actually a very nice letter back complimenting me for my contributions and assuring me that they would inform the H.A.R.P people of my contribution.
There was never any intention to build anything associated with what Mr. Eastland had proposed in his patent.
If you read the patents, I was thinking of ways to use it defensively. One was as an anti-satellite, hurt the enemy's communications while maintaining ours. And I was interested to note that that was one of the things said in the H.A.R.P basic technical document.
Star Wars was the state-of-the-art military technology of the 80s. But in the 90s and in the new millennium, it's going to be electromagnetic warfare.
What we do know about electromagnetic systems and electromagnetic warfare is becoming even more interesting. As late as April 28, 1997, U.S. Secretary of Defense Cohen announced at Georgia's University of Georgia that, in fact, geophysical warfare was becoming a more intense problem. In fact, they even speculated that terrorist organizations would have systems that could modify weather, create volcanic eruptions, or even cause earthquakes using electromagnetic waves.
You know, earthquakes is another thing. We have had a lot of them, a lot of volcanoes more in the last few years. Whether or not that is just a cycle of happenings, because we've had a history of earthquakes and volcanoes throughout recorded history, but it just seems to me like that it's coming more often, and that there has to be some connection with some of the things that we as humans are doing to our Earth.
The issue of earthquakes has been, looked at by other specialists, even going back to the work of J.F. Gordon MacDonald when he was at UCLA in the late 60s. He was also a science advisor. Lyndon Johnson is a specialist in geophysical warfare. He asserted then if you could ever get enough energy in at just the right frequency and just the right waveform, you could in fact trigger these kinds of events. And I think that's exactly what the Secretary of Defense, Cohen, was saying just a few days ago, was it's this idea that now terrorists may possess this kind of technology. It's obvious. I mean, if we're concerned that terrorists have it, we certainly do.
Back in 1912, Nikola Tesla said it was possible to split the planet by combining the correct vibrations with the resonance of the planet itself.
The idea of affecting weather for many people, it gets to the point where you say, well, can that even be real? And when you go back in time, even to 1976, the United States, along with over 60 other countries, signed an accord where we agreed to not use weather manipulation as a weapon of war. This is before biological and chemical treaties, before many of the nuclear disarmament treaties. And yet, that was such a big threat in 76. Has the science progressed? Certainly.
We're in this sea of energy. We're in a sea of gases. We're in a sea of particles that are charged. And they're moving constantly, just like a current in the ocean, just like the wind in the atmosphere. This current forms. And you draw and you attract these particles. Well, Wilhelm Reich attracted these particles. He pointed it at the sky and he said, you want clouds to be built there? You got a drought? He would point the device at that place and clouds would form there.
in the 40s. There was interest in weather modification. That by the 50s, there was actual experimentation in that area. By the 1960s, that area had advanced substantially.
Well, there have been programs with the salting cloud, salting things with silver iodide, and there's been some experiments where people from airplanes threw chaff out, the little pieces of metal, and tried to get those to absorb power.
We have done such damage to the thermal balance, to the hydrologic balance of this planet at this point. We are seeing more and more disasters. You have to watch the news. You have to notice these things. You can't just take Prozac and forget about it, and the next day you see the whole Ohio River Valley was just flooded. Billions of dollars of damage. Thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people left without homes. And they actually say that they can make weather. Well, tell me, have you noticed any good weather here lately? The thing that people don't take into account is we are changing the entire density of our atmosphere, the viscosity of the atmosphere's ability to flow and be fluid, to be freely flowing. We're changing that.
Today we have a number of technologies, not just HAARP, but satellites and other ionosphere heaters placed in strategic locations all over the world that can create the disruptions in lightning.
Here's a paper that was recently unearthed that talks about creating what's called a highly ionized column up through the atmosphere.
It might trigger lightning if lightning was ready to occur, and suddenly this conductor was thrust in the middle of, into the situation, then yeah, it could.
If you beam this radio wave into the ionosphere and you continually charge it up, not only are you sending energy into the ionosphere, but you're providing a path for energy to come back down out of the ionosphere.
In other words, they can create a massive discharge of lightning, bigger than anything we've ever seen on this planet.
And if you aim the beam at the down, and it happens to be in a region where there's a lot of charge, you can initiate a discharge in that area, perhaps.
Once a solar tap is formed and the ionosphere actually discharges, the electrons and energy will come from all over the ionosphere to that one point, and it will strike the ground in a bolt that is 100 times greater than any lightning bolt imaginable. And it will not just strike one time. It will strike 30 to 40 times a second. But when it strikes the ground, it will vaporize the ground, the water, or whatever it happens to hit. Kind of like 3 or 4 Mount St. Helens volcanoes going off each second that bolt discharges. Now, admittedly, that's kind of far-fetched, but whenever you're doing experimentation and you're taking risks with large amounts of energy, you must responsibly look at the worst-case scenario. And that could be the worst-case scenario.
Well, everyone has to remember that the Earth is a living organism, a lot of living organisms, and things change. To not change is dead. And I believe that we are all electrically connected, and so when you start playing around with electricity, you're going to affect everything. And so I think we need to be very careful as to what we do, especially affecting humans, animals, and other life forms.
Well, animals and birds are incredibly sensitive to electromagnetic energies.
HAARP will not affect animals or birds. That's in the environmental impact statement.
What I've heard about HAARP is that it can punch a hole through the atmosphere if they wanted to, and that it could disturb the migratory bird pattern. It'll mess with like traditional village life who depend on the birds for their food and everything. They shouldn't even build the machine if they don't know what it can do, because what if they just totally destroy the Earth with this HAARP machine? What are they going to think then?
I think the biggest thing that scares me is that they don't know what they're doing. They're just trying it out.
We don't know the results, and that's why we experiment.
When people say they've never done this before, there's a lot of experiments that haven't been done. That doesn't mean we should get up and do them. I mean, none of us have put a gun to our head just to see what would happen either.
Every scientific experiment involves surprises of that sort, and some of them very much alter what the purposes had been at the outset. I don't think it needs examples because it's such a commonplace phenomenon.
That ghostly shading on the bridge walk is the only remaining evidence of what was once a man. The bomb blast consumed his body entirely, but cast his imprint on the stones where he stood to meet his fate.
The bomb will not start a chain reaction in the water, converting it all to gas and letting all the ships on all the oceans drop down to the bottom. It will not blow out the bottom of the sea and let all the water run down the hole. It will not destroy gravity. I am not an atomic playboy.
Will you tell them that the United States government now wants to turn this great destructive force into something good for mankind, and that this experiments here at Bikini are the first step in that direction?
We attended at Bikini the Mike shot, which was the first fusion bomb. And the manufacturers of the bomb thought it would be about 7 megatons equivalent of explosive power. It turned out to be 15.4 megatons of explosive power. Their island was much more contaminated than had been presumed, and the radiation from that weapon contaminated the ocean.
It's just like with DDT, remember? That we were told that that wasn't harmful, and they drove through the streets and actually sprayed DDT from trucks on school children while they were eating lunch.
Is HAARP 100% safe? I don't think I would categorize any radio transmitting system as 100% safe. We have made it as safe as we can. We have followed all the standards that are applicable.
There are no standards because we have no intimate knowledge of how Earth and life work together.
Many times we've experimented on various different things and then it didn't turn out the way we expected it to.
It can get as big as what's been determined to be safe in the environmental impact statement. It can't go any bigger than that.
The environmental impact statement was funded by the Air Force and the Navy, the people that are running the program.
When you look at the Earth itself, you think about the Earth and how it releases energy naturally. You can look at earthquakes, and what we know about them over 30 years is they're increasing in depth, frequency, and magnitude. You can look at weather patterns. And what everyone knows, at least in this country and most of the world now, is weather patterns are going through dramatic shifts that are blamed on any number of factors. And you can also look at tidal heights in the North Sea, which have been steadily rising over a 30-year period as it's been charted. All of that indicates releases of energy. And then in the midst of this natural releases of energy, we're going to inject billions of watts of power into the magnetic lines of force. What this will do, they don't really know because they've never been at these power thresholds before.
Safety is the main consideration here. Aircraft safety, radio frequency safety. The environmental impact statement is the governing document. And anybody that has an environmental concern that we have not addressed in this should come to us and let us know about it.
There's no independent scientific committee looking at this outside of the military. There's no physiologists or bioscientists involved in this project from the military looking at those bioeffects. We think it's a narrowly focused program in the sense that the bulk of it is military driven. That's what's driving the budgets and that's what's driving the program.
The military research is one line of work, and I would say the medical research is another line of work, and for most part, these two groups are not talking to one another.
There are a number of scientists like myself who are concerned about this, who are in fear of what HAARP could do to the planet. Not only mind control, but weather changes, possible earth changes, earthquakes, things like that. And we all need to band together. We need to contact each other over the internet. We need to lead a discussion on this, and scientists need to contact their government representatives and tell them what they feel about this.
Our critics have talked about HAARP and some of the problems they perceive. If anyone, any group, individuals, whatever, were concerned, they're welcome to tour the site. They're welcome to put together an independent team of their experts to come onto the site and to review what it is we're doing. We have absolutely nothing to hide.
We need to bring in people from all walks of life to study the possible consequences of this technology. We don't know the effects. I don't think we should move blindly forward and just do these experiments.
We were recently invited to Brussels to speak to a group of parliamentarians in an organization called Global International. And we were able to present HAARP as an issue to over 60 parliamentarians from 40 countries. And what was important is it really was the first time many of these folks had heard much about this project. But I can tell you that the international interest has been growing. The scientific community is starting to wake up to the issue. And what we're seeing is more people willing to go forward and speak out.
I'm concerned that the people who understand that all life is interconnected aren't the people that are making the decisions about these experiments on our ionosphere.
What air I breathe, everybody else breathes. Water and air and the land, our life. Let's do what we have to do to protect it.
As living systems, we're open systems, and we can't draw the line between where our boundary stops and where the boundary of the non-living domain begins. The Earth is a living organism. It's not something that's really outside of us. It's really an intimate part of who we are. And when we destroy it, we destroy ourselves.
I have always asked that, and if anybody has a problem, come and let us see what the problem is. And if it's something we haven't addressed that we should have, of course we'll address it.
The problem with government and the people right now is that people don't trust the government, and they have good cause not to, because so many times over the years they've not told them the truth.
Well, the planet's electrical system is not there for us to exploit for Department of Defense purposes. It's there as a part of a whole beautiful, harmonious, interconnected system that supports all life on this planet. And we don't know everything that there is to know about it.
It's not up to me to determine that it is or is not a valid expenditure of taxpayers' funds. It's not my call. And if Congress gives us the funds, evidently they believe it's worthwhile. I'm told to do this, and we are doing it.
Those people who are in government, they tell me a lot of times that they're just following orders. My response is, so was Heinrich Himmler. He was just following orders.
We're about to embark on another arms race. It's totally unnecessary. We're committing billions of dollars to this technology, and the question becomes is, where does it end? I mean, they figured $3 trillion on the entire nuclear adventure, and that's, 60% of the current national debt. Are we going to start that cycle again? Is it necessary to do that again?
There's just no sense to make more of HAARP than there already is. It's intended to be for research, and that's all.
So even though HAARP is small today, every major weapons program was small at its infancy. It's just we usually don't find out about them till 50 years later. In this case, we're finding out at the beginning phase, and this is a time for people to take and pay attention and look at this technology and determine, is this really a direction we want to go, and is it really necessary right now?
HAARP is not a threat. It's a benefit.
We also know that there are other very specific frequencies which are different from the war games frequencies, which can enhance healing, which can accelerate natural healing in our bodies, which can alleviate our mood disorders, which can help us get over depression, anxiety, and sleeplessness. The military has very different plans and asks different questions looking at the same system than the scientist who's interested in medical issues or healing the planet.
It may not be that the Earth will die, but we will not be able to sustain human life on this planet if we continue to add one element of destabilizing technology after another.
If we do not stand up for what we believe in, for the children, we're not doing our job.
Perhaps true wisdom lies in knowing our limitations and that even the laws of nature are uncertain. In view of these technologies, we're left to wonder, do these experiments jeopardize our long-term survival?
Yeah, this is the Cutting Edge on RFM. Hope you've been listening to that H.A.A.R.P documentary. So, you know, we usually say, take what you want, take and show where you want, show where, you know. We just present the information to you. Yes.
Aye.
How is it?
Well, you can't dash nothing out of the documentary there.
Hey, Jen, how many never see it on up here, man?
But then they listen and see everything, though.
Man, tell me say you last, man. You don't know which part, Jared part there.
No, man, they're not dead, man. You know, some of them, they are taking everything.
Oh, well, tell me say you drive right road, maybe I drive 5 Jared Park, man.
No, man, but I think, man, they are taking everything, man. They don't care taking the thing, man.
Yeah, man, I don't know, of course.
The thing hot, so the thing stay. But one thing still, next year, we need to march when the Prime Minister office or one of them things that we can get full. What you call it, you know, the media is very important when it comes to choral. Man, I say called choral garden affair, you know, because the youth them have to know what go on. And one of the warrior now from Harborview named Adele, he might call her and I all the while I say, yo, oh, I never seen a picture of last time, I have to go ask Mout. I said, they're making a call Mout and ask him, brethren, how I go on. It look like you have to go get a digital number, you know, where, you know, say, when digital call, digital off 11, it's free, so everyone can call.
You
so I say, Adele, Mout, I have to
call the radio station for that.
Yeah, the radio station can put in a digital number, of course, then they're not toll free. Toll free number all the while, you know. But anyway, I ask if it's true said, have you ever seen a picture of Yashima
mother?
Yeah, you ever seen a picture?
I don't remember, no. I don't remember.
Then how comes?
I don't remember seeing one.
Do it look away then?
No, you remember say she passed over in about 2 still, you know.
Yeah, but then she must have picture Mout and
yeah, she must have picture, yes.
He look away for the ice man and earth mother and someone do a Ikeman tree and that about she bury on that table in our house and all kind of something. So the warrior now I never get some phone call on my life on one person. So yeah, I do it for him and Harborview, I say, yeah, when I think. I remember say Ross McConnell is a man where kush like tar, you know. And so I come from I like her, I say, well, I love know how she looks still. So once I want, especially in England, now we are listening to the Edge straight. Yeah. They can't find pictures. Everything that England rob everything from everywhere, you know. You know, see it. So Mr. Pindar got married now. William.
You know, I see him at Hitler anniversary too, you know. The same day when them get married at Hitler anniversary. Marriage anniversary.
Yeah, they don't know Sarah boy them a bring to come do all I things that what they want done in a wickedness and all them things. They have all picture with him with the lamb and the most thing. And we know a Pindar boy. Because when we do the H.A.A.R.P to see it, you know, see it. And we know Charles them work. And we know we're going with Diana and I tunnel and Diana in France and the whole ritual and the whole thing. So may I say, all right, ones and ones, we look at picture of the Majesty Mother and that would be the Yai in a wall of, would I love to see a picture of the Majesty Mother.
Yeah.
You when it's when Ronald Reagan
Yashima bet Ali.
Yashima bet Ali.
Yeah.
And then I say Ali first, couple strong ago, I get the Ali. I just know Yashima bet, so I give thanks to the Ali.
Yeah,
so Ali are Muslim.
Yeah.
Ali Selassie Empress man and is Muslim.
Yeah.
Was Muslim. So the king of Muslim lucky into the vice What a man. I want to say this to all of the emperors them around the world, especially the Caucasian, then they matter about woman liberation. The first woman liberator was Haile Selassie. When in Ethiopia the king crowned this month, and a month or two after the queen crown, in a one little back room. And Haile Selassie said, no sir, we can't do that now. No equality, make the empress come up front. This is not a boys club thing. So we have big up the majesty for that again, and we have big up the majesty for not growing tobacco in Ethiopia when South Africa make 20 billion and Zimbabwe make 10 billion. The king said no, put it in a cup of hot water and the poison you. No, which is a last time a man and make mistakes, so we big up for that. Anyway, Ronald Reagan, not the 80s, because I love that one with Star Wars, I have to play it every time. Ronald Reagan, when he take the money out of California tertiary education, free education as a Michael Manley do in a film time, all the way up to high school, and now basic school, you have to pay for basic school at Jamaica, so you know sir, who have to get education. When Ronald Reagan slice the budget of California, kill free education, we create Silicon Valley, we give all of them tickets to Wagwan, where people are using everything. He might put the money in a Star Wars. The first America war industrial complex enter the $1 trillion business. Star Wars, missile interception. I never know say could have tie up the ARP. What I want to ask I know is who rule ARP? Because America really is a corporation. The District of Columbia is a private entity like the City of London within the City of London and the Vatican within Italy. These are 3 different countries within countries. So may I ask I know who you think rules ARP?
Who rule ARP?
Yeah, who own it? Who have it? Who give the orders if he do it?
I don't know the special person. I know just a little, maybe 300, a group of some big old white people who sit down, white man, not even woman, white man sit down and decide we life away. So I can't tell you exactly who run it.
Where are they now? The 3 to the 300 family.
Yeah, well, 300, you know, 300 man run the world, man.
Well, they consider that place from 95. They have a think about all of them family there. You have to bring forward them things again still and play it, make a man who say never knew. The banker for the Vatican is the Rothschild Empire, and the war industrial complex, Halliburton, Belchtech, Goodman and Brown, and the whole of them thing there. Commander, the bankers, J.P. Morgan, Warburg, the Rothschild Empire, Ironman, the Oppenheimer, seeing them control the warfare now to subdue the earth, who know want commander the microchip system, them do all kind of manner of wickedness. So I have to still fight for righteousness without fear in this time, because when I look the other day, I say America bankrupt. You say that again, you say, wait, how much $1 trillion America borrow in no time? Them say $200 million hour. No, America is $14.5 trillion in international debt and $75 trillion in unfunded liability. How do you climb out of this hole, my brethren?
Create a war, they will create a war.
They will create a war.
Create war.
So I ask a question now, then if America crash, the system crash, the economic crash, gone to minus now from AAA ratings. Then Jamaica, the biggest earner, is remittance, $6 million.
Everybody will connect to America going crash if America crash.
So we have to know, because of certain information.
We have to go connect to South Africa.
We have to connect to South Africa.
Well, you know, say you have Russia, China, Russia, India, and Brazil form a 4-nation pack, and now them include South Africa in that 4. So it's 5 nations now outside of the American economic, what them call it, web. We have create them own little thing. You have Brazil, India, Russia, China,
South Africa,
and them include South Africa. How much we call a while ago?
5.
Russia, China, India, Brazil, and now South Africa. Them add South Africa to it. So 5 of them claim to them a work outside of the globalization of Americanization. So we're going to see what's going to happen with that still. But as far as me say, China has spread its wings faster than Russia. As a matter of fact, Russia or China.
Orange juice, which is another acid. Seen Ziggy Marley named by the bag load. Bag load. Because of the misinformation and how Rasta love garlic. Garlic is genetically modified, engineer, seasoned. That garlic, all of the tomato them now gone with big genes. So right now, as we say, the farming is so important. Because Rasta don't want nobody to them bow, you know. Because Rasta them cook out a people pot. They have do that from how long now, the butter pan. See, someone the Rasta them know, so now some food where gravy potato, yeah, the man them don't lock it from early. All Irish potato, what the Mayan use. Muta starch, you know. Remember, so the goody can't break up starch, you know. The Mayan corn is totally different from the corn, you know. And the Irish potato, the Irishman.
The corn will come back Jamaica, you know, you can't plant back the seed, man.
You can't plant for the seed. No seed that they plant. And you can't plant no carrot. No beetroot seed. Hey, I'm out of carrot juice and beetroot juice I drink can spread across the Atlantic Ocean. And carrot and beetroot was made in Holland in the lab to feed their pig population. And the new world order just slide it over to people. Just like cassava, not where the man them used to use, what they call Araraconda. One of them modified in Portugal was made to put into Angola and the motherland to create impotence at the age of 18, 19, no rising, can't go on. So that's why right now, the farming for I, organic, I know some here is about it, man talk about organic farm after we are burning fire, talk about for tourism. What a man them out of order fire. The man said tourism, like I, the inhabitants of the land is not worthy.
Well, you see the problem is it that when me go to California, you know, and mostly white people me say go in a vegetarian health food store, you know. The black people them go in a soul food restaurant, McDonald's, Kentucky, and Burger King. When me go to California, when me go to New York, you know, the old foods. Me in the old foods already, and come like I'm the only black person in there, you know.
Oh, you know, sir.
You know, see it. Me there in the old foods by Union Square. When me go in there, everybody look down on my foot. And me tell you, me are the only black person in there. All the black person when you see pass have this greasy burger a pass the health food store. I go right to the man at the corner. A Union Square there. If we go get them grease appetite flush. It's a terrible thing. Black people don't go to health food store more than so.
I know you can't blame them because of how them teach them and set them down.
No, but we reach a stage now if we teach ourselves, brethren. I mean, how long we're going to wait for them to teach we something different? You know a psychiatrist would say, anytime you go buy food, and if you live in America, go in at the white area go buy because the chances of them poisoning the white area is less. So
you get the proper food in the white area.
Yes. When you go to health food store, anywhere you go in the world, and you go to health food store, and mostly white people in there. You know, see it? And when you go in the black community there, you can know when you reach a black community in America, at the dirtiest part of the city. You know, see it? It's a weird situation.
And a beer fry.
Beer fries. This grease are run up on their hand. The burger in that anya, and the soda in this anya. Them a put the straw in and sup it and a drink it, and them pants are hang down upon them, and them shoes bigger than them foot, and them a listen to some, I mean,
what a slavery, man.
50 cent, and you know them way there, and it's like, wow, black people.
You know, I want to start putting some yellow ginger, what them call turmeric, where the Indian use.
No, I never put in that, you know, that go wild cross river with me there, you know.
Oh, you have to try wild?
Wild. Me I tell you, if you come on my yard, man, me carry you go over the riverside, man. Turmeric over there, like, wild.
Then the I know, yes, turmeric is...
With me. Me carry you go over one river. When you walk on turmeric, man.
Long time today.
Day before yesterday. One little youth, me give the youth some bush cabbage. And force him to eat bush cabbage. And then come back and then say, he go over the bush and get some susumba. Because susumba time now, you know. And him say, he love it. Me say, susumba, where is susumba there? Follow me, carry me go to susumba. Me and then go across the river, man, and susumba walk. When me come over with my little bag full of susumba, I say, blows and screaming to that susumba water there all the while, I never see it.
Then you know, earlier when we salute 96, 97, we have bagas to Sumba and I take my show with bagas to Sumba because if people them forget for them to eat the Sumba.
Well, you know, a tree Jamaican fruit right now, we're in stock now, where Jamaican people should look for. One is one of them see them out walk up and sell no name lychee. The next one a stinking tour.
Yeah.
And the next one a susumba. A eat time now. Are them three fruit there. Right now. Susumba, lychee, and stinking tour. Right now, a dot. Stinking tour. And the world. You hear them talk about fruit? Stinking tour. At the world.
The most powerful.
May I tell you, at the world that.
Well, you know how this susumba now. You see, who can eat it bitter? Just wait till it get ripe and fat like your finger head. It's sweeter than any ripe banana. Did you hear that?
No, me used to eat it ripe still, but me like cook it up with all other anything.
Yeah.
I tell you, man, susumba the world, man.
And for our people now, when they talk to say, why I like curry, you know, because I go bathroom often. And I say, you should go bathroom often.
Yeah, turmeric, man, turmeric.
Never say, why it empty them stomach and them are hungry. I say, no, your brain take the nutrients.
Yes.
The trash should come out of your stomach.
Of course.
Don't make it stay in there.
It's supposed to come out.
If you come out, as you eat it and your nutrients will come out. Because when John Wayne dead, 90 pounds of fecal matter come out of him. So when you look at some man around, you know, fire when last you take a look at the woman them in the cities them.
That's why you hardly find fat Indian, you know. Me talk about like Indian from India. You hardly find fat Indian because one, them hardly yam meat, and two, them yam enough curry.
Every day them yam curry. You know, every day them yam curry if you're good while and one me feel how you're good. And one thing me know say, your boys are free. That's all me can tell my brothers and sisters.
Me can't tell you something to free up your boy. You say all tamarind juice. That clean you out, man. That make you feel.
And there's a market for tamarind wine too, you know. Because I see the little youth them now, I drink the NSC. I mean, now depend on the edge and talk about the NSC, but me a bounty killer saying don't read the NSC. I mean, let me tell to Beanie Man, because Beanie Man to know something, yes, what go on. I say Beanie Man, sell a thing that go on the other day about operation. And I have sickle cell anemia covered because the blood plasma, the cell of the blood plasma separate through mucus and start sickle when them come together. So you have to remove the mucus. Muzabarga, so the way you them deal with NSC virgin. Remember, I used to drink coffee, you know, the TSOJ, the day one, you know, and it is a quarter inch, not the biggest glass, and you swirl and wet your mouth. That's what cognac is for. Cognac is not a drink where you gulp. And the little Rasta you them too, you know. You know, say, me not call on them still, not a year. Still not tell all of the Rasta virgin where the people them have them eyes span and that the good and I sing some nice song, yes, my virgin. You can't have the gallon buckler NSC with a little loop on the neck and have your finger in it. A walk and a spang and a gulp. Because remember, you see our culture dead in a Germany with him lungs are liver, lungs, liver, I think a liver. Them say the liver turn plastic. You know, I tell them, virgin, they're the man on a steel, man, you know. They're them can't go. Muta when since Rasta drink so much red rum.
Well, since the Rasta them get exposed to the American real life and the touring, them exposed to it now, so them nobody do certain things again. Watch a man. Rasta just ordinary people like normal people now, you know. Them not really into certain things again, you know. Rasta, watch out. You say a Rasta give you cheese tricks, you know.
Why want to say dread star? I don't know Rasta pure.
No, but you can't tell them say them man a Rasta. If you can't tell them say them man a Rasta, them is a Rasta. What I say now is that you have Rasta who, if them youth say them hungry, them give them a money if you go buy cheese tricks. You understand? And cotton candy. Because I see Rasta youth and name them something that me I say, wow, when me there, my little people them picnic. What? They could have not even a school. We reach a stage where the teacher asks my picnic now if me can put an extra Italiati in the lunch pan that she can get one to.
Teacher want one of the yati?
Yes, because she never knows say yati could have make without meat in the middle. And with this brown thing we then call whole wheat flour, them I say, but wait. And what kind of flour that? Oh, it's so dark. Like how them used to cut dark sugar, say 2 black, so they can't use dark sugar. They want
granulated.
Yeah, so when we get up early morning and them put it in our lunch pan and she gone to school and she eat them, say, what that you eat, little Rasta girl? Because she dreadlock said we, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when them look, them see the party and she give them peace, man. Ratted. When the mother go down to school, man, teacher ask mama if she can put an extra party in the fair. But no, Rasta just give them people some money. I just say, them not the time for make nothing at the yard. They will give people some money and say, go and buy where you are, man. And the people, they will sit down at the gate. I pies my picnic, you know. The same people, they talk about them a feed for them picnic.
Well, line the school gate.
Yeah, them sit down at the gate and pies in the picnic them.
Sugar and Kool-Aid.
Oh, gosh, man. Some things when me say them I sell long. Me say the things when them I eat look like dance hall bulb. some food. It have the color, some loom. You can't see far and see just bright up higher. But I say with a food that food is supposed to be so bright.
And the school just allow it and not say nothing.
No, food. Hey, watch out. The food look one poster in there. I want dance station I go on. I saw the food them look to me with some bright yellow and bright green, lime green. I mean, I say,
you know what I do? A yellow fatty and red fatty and blue fatty that, you know. Some chemical dye were terrible to the system.
Yeah,
you know?
it don't have nothing named food in it. It don't have nothing from the ground in it. Nothing.
I want to close with this. I tell the Muslim even Farrakhan them, I see them I say, for them Mahdi, the 12th Imam, to come forward, to come save them. They need 7 years of turmoil and war and atrocity and wickedness and murder for the Mahdi come save them. And same thing with the people that we talk about again, the Republican, false Christian them, where I say, for them Jesus Christ come. They need 7 year Armageddon, war and nuclear and H.A.A.R.P and T.A.R.P and whatever you want to call it to come save them. I just want to tell them, look, Mr. Muslim man, I came and come, seen, and come set it and tell you, say, you know, come do this, World War II and until he ignored and after regime, all one race superior, inferior to your color, and if you seek harmony and virtue and morality, it will be a fleeting illusion. The king comes do it, you know, come do the work, you know. These people now, hell-bent, dent, and pushing this nuclear, whatever Holocaust, you know, this time right here now, because, remember, my brethren, Barack Obama get Pulitzer Peace Prize, you know, in a 3 war, you know, and I talk about Syria now, you know, and them say Iran back Syria, you know, so it's to go in Iran now and put the world in a, what you call now,
turmoil. And you know, say Obama militarize Africa.
What you tell me, give them weapon?
Militarize it means say bases, American base set up, more American base set up.
Man. We have to, and you know, say all I leaders them in America about to him, me that Gambia in a H.A.A.R.P rice field. Me a Sizzler and him a tell me say Peter touch the dollar die and biggest song and me say Mr. President, that's very radical of the eye. And me start going Obama and him I said, no, he will come to fix it. Me say, Mr. President, you live Africa in a Gambia, Northwestern Africa, you live in America for years. Obama, Rockefeller sent him to school, him and Michelle, J.P. Morgan fund him campaign, and as soon as he got in power, they both got 2.6 trillion, fire 10 trillion, Obama get the bank of them, you know. Obama get the bank of family, the richest man them on earth, the zillionaires, 10 trillion, while milk, cocoa milk rise 100%, gas 40%, food 20% in every supermarket, 45 million Americans in poverty, 4 million foreclosure homes every year, and people go live under Fresno, Ibridge, California, some place in New York and coal fire. I'm tell you something. These boys are planning a race war because they're going to use Obama to destroy America, to false American dream way of life in capitalism, and blame the Negroes. And remember, say black is an English word which is despicably in every taste and sense to the eardrum, and then Negro in Spanish is nigger or nigger, same thing, void of light and and then black or white is pure and everything good. So me go say, I rough them when I run back Obama. Because I know enough of them, you know. Yeah, so that's the one war you when they tell them where Obama go on no moot, and I tell you that to them, I don't know if you know none, you know. They say, yeah, so rat, we want war, and I tell you, yeah, him. And I say, him, I serpent. I mean, I've not against Obama, the little kid, with him little wife and him little pitney. Now talk about the gangster them we surround him, the international gangsters and gangsters we surround him. You know, see it. So me I tell Jamaica, say, yeah, hear me, and the earth of Jamaica alone, call a motherland and listen cutting edge. Wake up, and I tell the Rasta Virgin them, say, yeah, hear me, fire, right on over the farm.
Throw the chunks, throw the chunks.
Please, me ice the eye them and I beg. So right now, we're going to do a massive job.
We want to go back to the H.A.A.R.P food, man. The whole heap of H.A.A.R.P, the green, the chlorophyll where they use in the pot, them man, with the coconut juice are boiled down. And that Rasta want in that pot, the chunks can't go down.
Coconut and turmeric are boiled up.
Yes.
And you throw anything in there,
with enough bird pepper.
With enough cayenne. You know, you see the bread in the food, a 64.5. Marketplace, shop 24, A.R.P. You have to bring him every now and then. No, but remember, we'll put him right now the ice there, he need a university for himself. I think he can save. And him alone, you know, Iris. We never say Iris yet, you know, where they talk about Iris. Iris had that long even before even. It's a huge you
have a next raw food restaurant up Hope Road in front of Jamaica House, you know.
In front of Jamaica House?
Yeah, over the other side of the road there. When you come up, when you reach Jamaica House, the right before you reach the stoplight is a dead-end road down there.
Yeah.
Some brethren where follow Benjamin in Israel there.
What?
Them have a health food, them have a raw food restaurant right down there, so man.
Nice, we have to do it nice again. Nice. With the raw food on the university campus. Can't talk about raw food and talk about nice.
But you see, me as a man now, you see, me promote all the restaurants and I sell H.A.A.R.P food, you know. Me talk about cooking. I say, you have a restaurant named Calabash Restaurant down at H.A.A.R.P. Down at James Avenue there, so. I don't know if you know it.
Calabash, not James Avenue?
Yeah.
Which part of James Avenue?
Right, where you pass, which part Jack Ruby used to there, man. A plaza, there by your right. After you pass, which part Jack Ruby used to there.
Yeah.
It upstairs, man, named Calabash Restaurant, man.
Yeah, I know that place there.
The brethren them sell H.A.A.R.P food in there. So far, I go in there and see them make them happy with all coconut juice boiled down. And a long time, me no go a one Rasta place and see them use coconut. Because Rasta no use coconut again. That is a travesty. You can't have H.A.A.R.P food and coconut in there.
I know we are telling the food look at turmeric in there. I want to tell you, you know, me give thanks for the information because I got to watch and stress.
No,
I know to drive past the place and I can't something else up there and I look like them just do it.
Yeah. It's a new place. Because I'm telling all books up there too, you know. African book. And I have a little vegetarian, I have a little, what you call it, health food store. But the restaurant, him have the restaurant in there. Him cook some nice food. Me I tell you. Nice Rasta way. Or Rasta used to cook it. I saw him cook it.
You know, so
like
when you start
Campa cook. It's all Campa cook. I saw him cook.
When you start playing H.A.A.R.P, my first thing come to eye and I say, Peter touch and Bob there. And I as a young soldier say, them gang, you don't know what this the boy them a do. And Peter say, come here youth, let me see where. And Peter put Grazal on know still. You don't know, so would I get some tune on them thing there. So then Bob Marley says, soon you're gonna know who's the real revolutionary.
Yeah.
So I tell you for the man them in the music say, yeah me no man, you can't sing 1 million girl song, brethren. And I talk about your next year, you have 100 girls and them things like you have play trick on the people in mind. You know man, but get the eyes together, you know, and start make some song. Bob Marley make song with 12 man a juggle ball and studio run and cook and by the time then done reason over chalice and then the song make. I don't know, one man head thing and no ego and she go like some man round here. I run down to go roll Rasta. And him covered and dunks at the same time. You know man? Yo, we need some song about H.A.A.R.P. More time we're going to need a dub poetry from H.A.A.R.P. Yes, sir?
All right, so we have to move here. Give time.
All right, bless.
Yeah, blessed man.